Let's have a quick conversation about audio ads production and, most importantly, how do you lower cost? And it's really important. Doesn't matter whether you are a marketer, whether you are a business owner, whether you are an audio ads production agent. You really need to pay attention to your cost. And to this conversation, I really want to show you a few hacks to help you reduce your audio ads production cost. Here's an overview I really want you to pay attention to. So before I even talk about how to actually lower things, I want you to really go back to the origins, so to speak. And I want to explain to you what is audio advertising real quick. So audio is how people consume media on the go. Some people might be jogging to an upbeat playlist or chilling out with a podcast during a commute. Either way, they are fully immersed, right? And audio advertising is basically the delivery of ads in audio format through online streaming platforms like podcasts or music streaming apps. Example of audio ad channels include you have Amazon Music, Apple Music, Deezer, iHeart Radio. You have Pandora, for example, and you also have podcast ad networks like Midroll. You have podcast publishers like NPR, Vox, ESPN. So you have a constellation of players here. You have Sirius XM, you have Sonos Advertising, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitchers, TuneIn, and YouTube Music. So you have a large collection of players here. And the thing here is that Spotify in the last few years has turned out to become the leading global platform for music and podcast consumption. A fourth of their total revenue comes from programmatic audio ads, for example. And so this is kind of cool. And they actually do a lot of audio streaming during gaming in the car, mobile, desktop, smart TV, and tablet and other connected devices. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. I really appreciate having you here, and it's always a wonderful opportunity to share a few thoughts of our research, a few fruits of our research with you in terms of audio ads production costs. How do you lower them? And so what are the types of audio ads you want to think about? You have audio ads that are traditional audio ads. You have ad sequencing. You can tell a story through multiple ads over time, and many use it to create brand awareness and end the sequence with a compelling call to action. And then you also have skippable ads. Let me quickly explain to you when we talk about traditional radio versus audio ads. So traditional radio ads are delivered through airtime purchased from commercial radio stations. And what happens here is that brands compete for a morning slots, for example, to capture a wide audience driving to work, which basically, when you think about it, the whole process drives up the price for prime time. And your ad buy is limited to stations, shows, and time slots. So you have this trifecta there. Radio ads are typically costly, and this is kind of similar to casting a water net, because you are trying to really reaching out to the general population, but you can't properly track how many people listen to your ad to start with. On the other hand, digital audio ads are distributed through mobile streaming apps, and these are more accessible than a car radio, which means what? It means you are accessing a broader audience. And if you're an advertiser, you can really select specific artists or podcast genres to align with your target audience interest and directly serve audio ads. So this is kind of cool. So these ads are then distributed through, let's say, the stream at certain dedicated intervals. And there is no need to compete for prime time slots because people stream audio whenever they feel like it. And so this option, when you really think about it, is more flexible and versatile. And audio ads also tend to be more conversational in tone, and the ad content tends to be more personalized and specific to match the audiences of listeners. And by the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. I am explaining to you how to lower production costs for your audio ads. And so what are the benefits of audio advertising in general? Just in general, well, you have a high targeted audience reach. You have the ability to engage your listeners to take action, right? Because it's not really invasive as a traditional video ad might be. You can track your ad spend, and you are able to be cost effective if you do it the proper way. And it's really easier to create than you think. You might be thinking that audio is kind of complicated to create, but it's not. Audio is a new medium, and so many advertisers are trying to capitalize on it. And so if you don't have access to a recording studio, not a problem. You don't sweat it. Creating an audio ad for your brand is simpler, faster, and more affordable than you think. So you have a lot of companies like, for example, voices.com. They actually offer professional voice actors for hire. And you can check out their portfolios and get access to great voice talent in over 100 languages. So this is kind of cool. Now, let me give you the steps that you can follow right now. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, right now, if you are trying to lower costs when it comes to audio ads production. The first thing you want to do here is you want to create a comprehensive program. I really don't care about what kind of a niche you're going after. If you don't have a comprehensive program, you're not going to be able to have a clear view about your work stream. You're not going to have a clear view about your entire process from A to Z. See, the thing is, if you want to lower costs for your audio ads production, you need to have a clear view of your production from A to Z. So the best first step you can take is to create a program that you can stick to. Remember, it's all about having a formula for success. It's about knowing, for example, which departments are handling your audio ads production. It's about knowing what kind of freelancers you are reaching out to, when you should reach out to them, how much they are costing. So when you have a clear view, a better idea about how those specific steps will cost you, this is really better. And you need to decide what your business goals are and build a program around those. See, your audio ads production, that process, you're not really doing it like out of a vacuum. It should be part of an entire, let's say it should be holistically part of your business vision or your overall business goals. So there has to be harmony. There has to be a harmony between your audio ads production process and your overall business goals. So the first thing, you want to create a comprehensive program. The second thing you want to do here is you want to tighten your focus even further. See, the thing is, now we want to grow granular. So in the first phase, we were a little like broader, right? We just like, my goal is to appeal to a younger audience. This could be your goal in number one. Number two, you want to tighten your focus. You want to narrow your focus even further. You want to be granular. So instead of saying I want to appeal to, let's say, to young adults from 20 to 32. Now you might say we want to appeal to young adults ages of 20 to 32 who live in New York or who live in Chicago and who are, let's say, who are into fitness. See, the further you actually go, like if you're narrowing down your focus, you have the opportunity to better target your specific audience. The third thing I want you to do here is I want you to create podcast ads. And more than half of the US population has listened to a podcast. And think about it, millions of us tune in regularly. I mean, everybody, like even this morning before I came to work, I was listening to a podcast while driving here. And you probably listen to this show, and you probably listen either on YouTube or one of the many podcast platforms on which we actually distribute our content. And the thing here is that podcast ads are an effective way to reach our audience, and the cost is quite reasonable. So if you find a great podcast that resonates with your target market, then you can purchase ads and or sponsor the show to broaden your appeal. Okay, so you don't have to do like a very complicated ads. No, you can do a 30 second podcast ad that's very cheap, instead of actually trying to hire like a full production team to let's say to produce an audio ad that you can actually air on Spotify, for example. Just go granular, go specific, and you also want to think about using remnant advertising. So you can get a steep price cut on hotel rooms that are vacant. Remnant advertising operates along similar lines. It is ad spaces that media companies haven't been able to sell, so they don't want to waste this finite, time-sensitive space. So they sell it at a very significant discount. Yes, there are fewer options, but you can get your ads in front of as many people as possible with a limited budget. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. I'm still having a conversation with you about audio ads productions, how to lower cost. And another thing you can do here is to leverage your websites more effectively. If you are trying to, let's say, reduce costs for your audio ads production in general, you could probably just think about your website. Okay, consumers are more savvy and informed than ever before. When they need a product or service, they do their own research. So they turn to social media to ask for recommendations. They look at ratings and review sites. They visit your website and see what kind of value you deliver. Okay. Next thing you can do here is to investigate cooperative advertising. So cooperative advertising will help you actually reduce your audio ads production cost. And if you're not familiar with the concept, cooperative advertising is just one way to have some serious money, to actually save some serious money when it comes to your budget. So there are programs where manufacturers offer you reimbursement dollars for ads based around their products. For example, imagine you run an online ink pen store and you carry several different brands, for example, and one of the brands you carry may have a co-op ad program that reimburses you for 50% or 60% of the cost if you feature their brand in your next advertisement. So really, when you think about it, this becomes a win-win for either party, right? Because you get a bit of extra cash and the manufacturer enjoys higher sales numbers. So this is kind of cool. And if you really want to reduce your audio ads production costs, you really want to skip TV and air ads on YouTube, for example. I mean, YouTube is one of the biggest platforms that we have today for audio ads. And it's just, YouTube makes it a lot easier to actually to reach, let's say, targeted audiences than maybe say traditional radio, traditional TV, for example. Because if you were to go to a traditional TV station, imagine the granularity that you are losing, because you never know who's really tuning in. Yeah, granted, there are programs where you can find out who's tuning in, blah 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 blah. But overall, by and large, YouTube is just a lot easier in terms of granularity, in terms of consistency than TV. So you can reach more people and give your ads a much longer shelf life if you utilize YouTube as an advertising avenue. So posting your content is free, and you can promote the content via various channels, your website, social media profiles, and there are also many paid YouTube advertising opportunities to consider. So here, the point I'm trying to make here is that you do have possibilities, you do have options, which is always great. Because if you're a small business, let's say you are a small set side agency or a small buy side agency, a small, let's say, a marketer with an audio ad marketer with a reduced budget, then you want to pay attention to those elements. Let me give you a few pro tips before we actually close to this conversation. So, see, the thing is, if you have a low marketing budget, there are things you can do to kind of beef up your strategy to make sure that you are staying relevant while spending less money. See, the thing is that you want to stay relevant and present. It doesn't matter whether you have $1,000 as budget or $10,000. You got to be relevant and present. And when I'm talking about relevant and present, I'm speaking about basically having a message that resonates, let's say, with your audience, your target audience. And when we talk about resonating with your target audience, we're specifically talking about geography and demographics. This is kind of important. And the thing here is that, nowadays, the economy can be down from time to time. You have economic fluctuations. You have the ebbs and flows of the economy, right? And a lot of things are happening. And the stock market is going up one day, the next day the stock market is going down, and people are kind of scared. And you do have a lot of things. So what I'm trying to say here is that you want to actually make sure that your audio ads is actually is relevant. In other words, you want to capture people's anxieties, if that's the kind of message you want to convey. You want to capture their needs. You want to capture their desires. You want to capture a constellation of emotions that really are revolving around today's marketplace. And so you can try a lot of things. You can try let's say emotional ads. You can try CTA ads, so call to action ads. You can try action ads. So basically, you are asking people to do something. You can try brand awareness audio ads, for example, where you are basically talking about your brand. You're introducing your brand to the general populace, for example, and it's just important. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you want to lower cost when it comes to audio ads production in general, you got to stay relevant and present. Because if you're not relevant, if you're not present, you are basically just spending money on something that nobody will listen to. You're spending money on ads that very few listeners will pay attention to, and this is kind of bad. People are driving to work, people are fully immersed, and then you're wasting an opportunity at that point to actually connect with your audience at that point, and this is really bad. One thing I also want to say here is that if you are a brand right now, you're listening to me, you will really you want to pay attention to how you connect with your audience. And there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things you can do right now to stand out with audio. And audio ads production, your audio ads production will go down if you're able to have the specific types of ads that resonate with your audience. And in an age where content and ads are thrown left and right, staying relevant is more important than ever. And so building brand recall in your audiences is necessary to avoid being forgotten and to stay ahead of the competition. And you got to stay ahead of the competition. So budgeting, if you think about it, may seem like a safe choice at first glance, but by not being present, you can lose more than gain. And so audio ads deliver strong messages that resonate in the listeners' minds to keep your brand relevant, crucial when consumers have to choose between purchasing your product or service versus another. And so no matter what, the most memorable and favorable brand will be actually the top choice. And the audio ad format allows you as an advertiser, as a marketer, as a buy side seller, as a sell side seller, to really differentiate yourself. Okay, and the audio ad formats also allows advertisers to cut through the noise of a busy holiday season, for example, with many large holiday campaigns running during Q4, for example. A clear and unique audio ad stands out and strongly impacts audiences. So this is something that you really want to really pay attention to. And one thing we have seen in our research in the last 25 years is that jingles, for example, are one type of audio advertising well known to be popular and effective, particularly during the holiday season. And so jingles are a tried and tested example of how the power of audio can create high recall and keep your brand fresh and memorable for better end of year results. It can be middle of the year. It can be better spring action. So you really want to think about it. Think about it. So we all know a jingle from an ad we have seen as children that we can sound off the top of, we can really sound off the top of our heads. So the popularity of jingles, but see, jingles are not just, jingles are just an example. You can come up with different other audio formats to really resonate with your audience. The bottom line here is you want to be relevant. You want to stand out. And one thing I also want to say before closing to this conversation is that if you really want to lower cost overall when it comes to audio ads production, you want to think about reaching highly engaged audiences anytime, anywhere. Remember, when we talk about audio ads, people who listen to podcasts, for example, they are fully immersed. Either they're going to work, whether they're working out, if they are commuting to work or they're working out, they're fully immersed. So you really want to pay attention to that particular, like that 2 hours of the day, or those 2 hours, those 60 seconds, or this 60 minutes of the day where you have your target audience being available to you. So you want to avail yourself of their time. And advertisers should think about where and how they want to advertise. So if you're listening to me right now, you want to pay attention to this specific opportunity. Okay. In game ads, you want to reach audience in the palm of their hands, anytime, anywhere. As mobile games create a stimulating environment, gamers are wholly focused on their game and screen, meaning they're highly engaged. Okay, and or you can try, for example, you can try emotional ads. You can try podcast ads. So similar to game ads, if you have podcast ads, you are highly likely to reach a fully engaged audience, because audiences who listen to podcasts, they are there to gain information. They are there to be educated. They are there to be entertained. They are there to be informed. So at that, during those 30 minutes, during those 60 minutes, during those 90 minutes, during those 2 hours, when your audience is fully immersed in, they are paying attention. It doesn't matter if we're speaking about someone who actually is cooking their favorite recipe and has the radio on or has the podcast on, or whether you're speaking to someone who is really sitting down and taking notes because he or she wants to understand more about the product or service that the podcast is talking about. The possibilities are endless. So you have the ability there to actually lower costs for audio ads production because you are able to serve the right type of audio ad to the right type of audience. And by doing so, you are increasing your cost per acquisition. For example, your CPA. You are not increasing. You are reducing your cost per acquisition. You are reducing your cost per click if you were to participate in an audio ad, let's say auctioning format. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about audio ads production, how to lower costs. And so I give you the overview and I give you the steps. So you want to create a comprehensive program. You want to tighten your focus even further. You want to create podcast ads, use remnant advertising, leverage your website more effectively, investigate cooperative advertising, skip TV, and you want to skip TV and air ads on YouTube, for example. And I give you a few pro tips to close today's conversation. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I really love the fact that you were here until now. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.